Hello and welcome back to Biker Stuff. In this video I hope to pass on some information about ethanol and some of the things you should be aware of. The first thing I have to say about the introduction of E10 into the UK is that it should be called If10 rather than E10 because using it depends on so many ifs. If your bike was built before 2011, if you use your bike all year around or just in the summer, if you don't want to pay the extra for super unleaded, if you want to extract the ethanol yourself, and so the questions go on. During 2021, 10% ethanol has been introduced into 95 octane unleaded petrol pumps around the country, replacing E5. In September 2019, we saw the start of E5, but not much was made of it, and we all got on with our days as though nothing had happened. As you will be aware, if you use regular 95 octane unleaded, E10 is mostly all you can buy now. Although, if you still want E5 petrol, you can still buy it because the high octane super unleaded will remain at 5% for the next 5 years. Can I ask, if you are new here and like what I do, please consider subscribing by clicking on my face down there, then ring my bell so that you will get notifications when there is more to see from Biker Stuff. Let me start with some facts about ethanol. It is organic and made from starch-based crops like corn and wheat, which is cheap and sustainable. When burned in an internal combustion engine, it reduces the amount of carbon dioxide and many harmful carcinogenic emissions. However, very little ethanol is produced in the UK and it is mostly imported from the United States, so it probably already has a high carbon footprint, which might or might not be countered by the amount it reduces. Ethanol blended petrol significantly reduces greenhouse gases over regular unleaded. Ethanol is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture from the atmosphere. Just like brake fluid, over time, when left, it will need replacing. But unlike brake fluid, petrol isn't kept in a sealed system, but open to the atmosphere where all the moisture is. As water is denser than petrol, it will sink to the bottom of your tank with the attached ethanol and will be the first thing picked up by the fuel pump. As we all know, petrol goes off. The more volatile chemicals will evaporate and make the engine difficult to start when cold. What also happens is carboxylic acid is produced. This then gums up the jets and float chambers and can make it a struggle to start your bike when it has been left sitting for several months. Single-cylinder engines suffer with this more than multi-cylinders. A mower will struggle on old fuel more than your R1. Stale petrol has an organic smell about it when this has happened. Not that I'm suggesting inhaling it, but once you have had a nose full of it, you know what I mean. Ethanol will not stop this happening and will only make things worse. If you have the sort of bike that needs to be kept indoors all winter, then drain the tank and run the engine until it stops. Of course, do this in a well-ventilated garage or out on the driveway. Then, next spring, buy a can of fresh fuel and fire the beast up. It's not all bad news. E10 has been used in America and Australia for at least 10 years. So if your bike was built from 2011, it will be built to cope with the inclusion of ethanol. In fact, most manufacturers were preparing for this before the millennium. What do you need to do to your bike? If it's less than 10 years old, you need to do nothing, although I would suggest draining the tank if you leave it locked up over winter. But if it's older, here are a few things you need to consider. As I mentioned before, ethanol draws moisture out of the atmosphere. Well, it will draw the moisture from your fuel hoses too, so you might want to consider replacing them every few years. Your carbs should be okay, as there aren't any vinyl rubber parts in them. Some fuel pumps may have vinyl diaphragms in them, and these may degrade. A fuel pump upgrade should fix this. To give this an overview, your main concerns will be if you leave your bike standing for many months, you will need to drain the fuel beforehand. If you wanted to extract the ethanol from your petrol, this is called phase separation. There are many videos showing how to do this, and it isn't difficult. I'll put a link up here and in the description if you want to see what is involved. The not so easy part of it will be disposing of the water and ethanol mix you are left with. As the Environment Agency say, there is nowhere a homeowner can take it. Please don't pour it down the drain, as this will have effects further down the line. Another downside to extracting the ethanol is that it forms part of the octane, so your fuel will be weaker. However, you can buy an octane booster to counter this. Of course, the way around having to extract the ethanol, adding octane booster, then finding a way to dispose of your waste ethanol is to simply buy the E5 super unleaded at a few pence a litre more. Then you have 5 years to replace your bike or find an alternative solution. If you have a vintage bike, I know your club will help you find a way around it. Thank you for watching. I know you liked it, so tell your friends, and I'll see you here next time on Biker Stuff.